Welcome to another weekend here on the platform. My name is Sam Omashe.
So what the motion did was to, number one, bring it to the attention of the Senate again, and from there we approached the Ministry of Works, and thankfully the minister too was showed a lot of understanding. Yeah. So what he had to do was to move it from the normal budget cycle funding to what is called the sukuk. And you know, I'm typical with sukuk. Anything that is mapped under sukuk, whatever amount is there marked, you know. So if you go on that corridor to this, you can see a lot of, you know, work going on in the major critical areas. So we hope that we'll move. That has helped, and we are also hoping that it will help in improving the the work that is needed to be done. So the other pillar, which has to do with empowerment, what I have been able to also do very quickly is that having identified some of the things that I think are important, again, you must also see how you navigate, because we are all competing for
the same resources.
Exactly. So, but again, because of my goodwill, I think that I have brought that into play. So, and then the way I've approached it is that at least in each of my major local government, at least there is some sense of presence of the federal government there. So what do I mean? If you go to Ekpe today, we have set there, a mini stadium has been completed. That is a 960 capacity stadium, courtesy of the SDG. You understand? There is a major market, which is an ancient fish market. If you know Ekpe is known for fish and all of that. So the market there too has been completely rehabilitated and, you know, expanded. The capacity has been expanded. So as a matter of fact, by the end of this month, the plan is to commission those major projects for the people in Ekpe. But I must also make mention of one thing that I think was the first thing that I did immediately after I came in. You recall that I was coming in during COVID?
Yes.
During COVID, and some of the takeaways from the campaign. You know, you see people, you know, telling them of neglect, you know, complaining about, you know, some of the things that are even being done, you know, not getting to them and all of that. So what I had to do was, I said, fine, a country battling with recession, compounded with COVID, and you can imagine what would have happened to some people at the bottom of the pyramid.
People who live by the day.
Exactly. So what I had to do was I just said, fine. Why don't we identify what do we call vulnerable? How do we categorize vulnerable members? So I said, let's look for people with physical challenges. Let's look at widows. Let's look at the aged. Let's look at a woman and an unemployed youth. So I identified those 5 categories of people. So I now reached out and I said, look, I also believe in a fair and transparent system. So there is no way I can beat my chest, even my team, to say that we can identify such people within my district. Some people will say that people are just picking, you know, relatives and people that they know. Yeah. So we now said, look, the party structure itself has a system, has a structure. So I said, why don't we take the structure? So we looked at the structure of the party system, particularly in Lagos, which I respect. You know, in my so-called 5 local governments and 11 LCDs, we have 98 wards. You know, so we said, let's reach out to those 98 wards. We have 98 wards. We have what is called then after the ward system, you have the LGA party structure as well, chaired by a chairman. I'm not talking of the council, it's the LGA party chair, a chairman and so they have their own executive. So what we did was to say, the 98 wards, I haven't described what we define as the vulnerable members, right? Give us 10 people of this definition, if you get what I mean.
Bring them out of the woodwork.
Exactly. So those people, all we need from you is give us information as to their name, their phone number, and their bank account details. Those are the 3 things that we require for you. And of course, your location. So by so doing, you are able to capture about 980 people. So 10 from each of those categories. So again, we went to the LGA party chair as well. You also give us 5 of such. So you have another population. Then also you see the Christians Association, the Muslim clerics, they also are represented. We also
and they have those people depend
exactly.
on them.
So we said give us 10 of such people as well. Then of course the owners of the culture, that's the obas and all of that, we also approach them. So in my district we have about 31 of such obas. We said give us. So at the end of the day we were able to. Then of course you have what we call the CDC, the Community Development Committees and all of that. So they have leaders. We also told them in their own cases, because under the CDC you have the CDAs. We said, okay, because you have a larger population, we said give us 20 of such people. So at the end of the day, we had a population size of close to about 2,500 people. So effective January last year, which is 2021, on a monthly basis, what we do to those people, we remit direct to them about 5,000 naira just to support them. And we do it religiously on a monthly basis. So that is another way of empowering the people at the bottom of the pyramid.
This issue of constituency project has also become a fraught subject in Nigerian democracy. You're not showing us the benefits of constituency projects. So some people have said you're encroaching on the work of the executive. And that this is what, if SDG is going to do its job, let SDG do it. If Works is going to do its job, let Works do it. If Lagos State government is going to do its job, let Lagos State do it. Why are you being an interloper?
So as for me, I see it as policy influencing. You understand? Yeah. That's the way I see it. Unless, of course, if people take it beyond policy influencing, and they want to extend it beyond that, which, of course, I will not be party to. So as an example, if Federal Ministry of Works or SDG is doing anything, all I do is monitor it. I'm not interested as to how it is crafted. So just monitor, is it well situated? Is it done the way it is done? So for me, it's influencing policy for the entire benefit of society, and complementary role for the executive. You understand?
Yes.
So that's where I see it. So maybe it's about time I move to the third pillar, which is now.
Yes. So
the third pillar, which to me, right, I think that even if I don't do it, I should, and I am open. Maybe my own children will ask me that, so all that you have gathered in your own corporate life, you won't bring any part of it to bear in this. Yes. So, and before it gets to that, I had also mapped it out that it's something that I must just fix. So for me, and in that instance, I think that my understanding of the concept of development too, and how it impacts society, I must also bring it to bear within the resources that I have, either directly or by way of goodwill. So the 3 things that I've identified along that line are essentially around, again, the youths, because of their very large population, and entrepreneurship. So what I've done is to have a foundation that focuses on that. So the first one is, I think that in the area of education, I have decided, my own decision is to focus more on the tertiary end, because again, it's limited in number. The capacity that I have. So I have what is called a yearly bursary support.
Okay.
And this is on the back of the fact that the Lagos State government ordinarily does bursary to everybody. Yes. But I still think that whatever it is, even those of us who can also complement should complement. So I've called mine bursary 600, and this is a copy. So the maiden one came up last year, and I'd like to speak to, and it also, if you look at the content, it will also show you the partnership with the Lagos State government. You can see that the photo of the governor, the deputy governor, all of them at the beginning. But one thing I must also say about this, bursary 600, is that in all that I try to do, I try to ensure fairness and equity, you know, in the way and manner we do anything that we are doing, and transparency. So in this instance, it will be difficult for me to just sit down and say, I want to identify the people that I want to support by way of bursary support.
Yeah.
You know, and again, I also believe in competition. You understand? Because these are limited, scarce resources that I will have to deploy. So I have to give it to almost the best.
What's the value of the bursary?
So the bursary for 600 people is about, for starters, about 30 million naira. You understand? But I think is the concept that I would like to speak to. Okay. So in doing this, what we did was, we said, okay, look, the first thing is to have an advisory council so as to ensure that there is transparency, there is fairness. So, and in selecting the advisory council, we felt that the best way to do it that will be acceptable and that it can be, you know, adjudged by people to be fair is to go to those institutions that we've identified. So we went to LASU and picked a scholar there. We went to the Lagos State University of Science and Technology, picked a scholar. The Council of Education and the Nursery Council, we went. So we had, and they're all stated in this brochure. So we constituted them into, we interviewed them and constituted them into a bursary advisory council. And now give them the parameters so that the selection of these 600 people will be their own making, so that people won't accuse us of bias. If you understand what I mean.
Yes.
So all we said to them is that, look, we want to institute a bursary scheme that will support what Lagos State government is doing. Yeah. However, because our purse is limited, you know, this is how much we are going to deploy, but you will handle it, you will select the people, but we'll just only give you the criteria. So which criteria did we give them? What we said, it must be for indigent student. Indigent. The student must be a year 2 student in that institution. What we are guiding against, we don't want to go into the trouble of whether you are awaiting results, you are yet, or you don't know whether you are in school. Do you get what I'm saying? You must also be on the track of a minimum of 2-2. Because again, this is private support. Yes. And in private support, competition, you must bring it. Because for people to benefit, you must, they must show seriousness. Then lastly, you must ensure that we have a representation from all the 5 local government and the 11 LCDs, so that there is equity in the spread. So in doing that, so given those terms of reference, they invited applications. And even the applications, because of the times we live in, we also insisted that it must be via, you know, technology, you know, so that people begin to get accustomed to the way the world is moving. Well, it will interest you to know that the applications that we got was close to about 3,000 from different interested applicants. So from there, they narrowed down to 600. And one thing came out very instructive, you know. I remember that in the run-up to the launch of this program, after all the exercises had been done, somebody actually called me and complained that his own ward had gone far with all the requirements and blah, blah, but is yet to be invited to the formal commission. I said, okay, fine, no problem. What's the name of the person? They gave me the name. All I just needed to do was to forward, without talking to her, forward it to the council. And within 5 or 10 minutes, they came back to me to say, yes, the student ticked the box of being indigent.
Okay, so not only being an indigent, but also being indigent.
Yeah, but again, indigent and also if you live within our area. Okay. Now also you had tutu, had everything. But the only...
So you mean indigent and also resident?
And resident, exactly. Because they are part of the people within the constituent. Yeah. So it's that the guy is an indigent.
Indigent?
No, I'll come back. Yes. No, the combination is, the award is for indigent and resident. Yes. But there is also a qualification of indigent.
Indigent. Okay.
There is indigent, resident, that's the qualification.
There's also indigent.
Indigent, yes. Exactly. So they said this applicant ticked all the boxes, except the fact that he's not an indigent. And they proved it. They said the parents, these are the this is the occupation of the father, this is the occupation of the mother. Because there is it disqualifies you. It's not for you. So that is why fairness, transparency is important.
Yes.
And those are part of what I'm bringing here. And so if you look at my background, those are part of the training we had undergone. Yeah. I must be seen to be fair. I mustn't be seen to be partial. So those who are also trying to embrace too must try and imbibe such whatever. So you can imagine if we were the ones speaking. So it was an independent body devoid of us. So they gave that information. And when I passed it back, at the other end, it was well received that, okay, yes, it is true.
That's fair.
You understand? So again, so the day we are going to commission, we did the commissioning, part of what we try to do too is not so much as in just give them the money and things like that. So we assembled everybody into a massive hall. We brought in the political leaders and also tried to explain to them that this is what we are doing, this is why we are doing it this way. We got the advisory council to speak to the selection process. But one other thing that also stood out on that day was that we also got somebody who is also an accomplished young man in his 30s, who has also done so much in the area of technology and whatever, to come also and speak to the students so they can see hope.
A model.
Exactly. So if you look at that book, there is a guy called Inya Boyeji. That is one of the founders of Andela and Flutterwave. In the early
Okay, Flutterwave.
Yeah,
of
if
course.
you see the first page, let me show you. So if you look at this page here, you see the profile of In there.
Yeah, the guy has gotten the
Exactly. So when you see the young man there,
yes.
So when they listen to that kind of personality, and he also mentioned to them that he grew up in Shomolu.
Went to St. Greg, I think.
Yeah, I mean, his profile is there.
Yes.
You know,
I know the story.
Exactly.
So
it's also to give hope to the young people that, look, if your focus is, is intact, and the world is for you to take.
World is your oyster.
So exactly. So that is one. So the second one under the endowment too is in the area of entrepreneurship. And so what we did for entrepreneurship is this. What I'll describe as a capacity development for entrepreneurs. Most.
Oh, you have video. Yeah, I think I've seen this.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, you already are okay.
Yes,
so you have seen this, fine.
Yes,
But again, if I may speak to it too, is the fact that most of our entrepreneurs, they think that finance is always
the only thing.
The only thing. For me, it is not.
The idea.
Exactly. You have to understand how businesses are, molded. You understand? You don't say because somebody is selling, it's into one trade, there might be tricks, trade secrets that you probably don't understand. There might be some trade, discipline that you probably don't understand.
Yeah.
So, so for us, we thought, we put together about 1,000 entrepreneurs in order to expose them to capacity development. And in doing it too, we also try to bring major regulators that they ordinarily regulate their business, but a lot of them are not aware of them. So we brought the likes of Smidan, the Bank of Industry, and the tax authorities, the standard organization. So we assembled everybody to speak to. And part of the beyond, and we did this in partnership with Faith Foundation, because they are experts in enterprise development, and Standard Chartered Foundation. Now, but the icing on the cake for this, which we are also going to launch next month, is that at that seminar, part of what we came up with is that we are also going to institute a constituency revolving loan to support. Typically, they think it's all about finance, but we needed to let them get the discipline of business management first.
And the imagination.
Exactly, before we expose them to that. The world we live in has changed, and of course, we have the issues of unemployment and all of that. But I can tell you confidently that even in the midst of this unemployment problem, there are still some windows of employment that we have in the society as we speak today, locally and globally. And we need our young folks to be able to tap into it. And the only way to do that is to help them in kind of scaling up their skills in the area of innovation and technology. And to that extent, I have, as an integral part of my own foundation, I've launched what is called the Senator Abiru Innovation Lab, You know, and that innovation lab, you know, is not just about setting up an ICT center. No. I see that as creating a facility. But you must complement that kind of facility with a faculty that will be dedicated in teaching. So what I have done is, apart from setting it up, I've also, you know, partnered with a top-end faculty. It's called Co-Creation Hub.
Yeah.
Now, co-creation, if you Google them, you find them. They are experts in combining social capital and technology in a bid to bring about social prosperity. You understand? So we are working together as we speak today. We, those that we applied for this, we had in excess of about 2,000. But what our facility can cope with today is about 150. So, and that too, the 150 as we speak, they are in our facility, you know, undergoing the mentorship in technology and innovation. So the 5 major programs that we are dealing with there, we have what is called the Tech Talent. That's for about 6 months. So you can imagine, onboarding, you know, young folks for about 6 months at no cost to them. I bear all the cost. My foundation does that. We have, and those Tech Talent, you know, the expected outcome is to, you know, convert them into software engineers so they can compete globally. And hopefully, at the end of the period, they will even have job placement. So we have Tech Talent.
Or even work on their own.
Yeah, work on their own. So you have the Tech Talent program. You have what is called the Accelerators program. That is, you know, helping, you know, creative minds to use technology to drive their business. You have what is called Business 101. Those ones, that is for creatives and artisans. We've done a graduation for those ones. After about 3 months of training, this is the graduation package that we had for them. Then you have the teachers, it's called a teachers fellowship program. You know, because in all of this, you also have to help our teachers to understand the modern techniques of teaching, which is what is known, that is acceptable worldwide. And lastly, you know, for the younger folks, that is people within the age bracket of, that's the age bracket of 13 to 18. So on Saturdays, we also take them on what is called the STEM program, STEM. That's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That's exposing them very early. So these are 5 major programs that we are exploring right now.
And from the pictures, you can see that the children are very, very happy.
They are very, very, very happy. They are very, very, and you see, for us, you know, we hope to run at least the program twice in a year, because an average class will last for about 6 months. So our hope is to churn out about 300 people there, and believing very strongly that when you impact on people like this, you know, they will go out in that society, getting engaged, getting employed, and be properly skilled.
You've shown a lot of imagination to legislation and actually social engagement in the society. And we're to be grateful for you for such engagement. Thank you very much for being on this show.
Thank you so much, Sam and team members. It's a pleasure having you guys around, and I will be available at any point in time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Here is my poem in the series, The Politician.
I said it. No, you said I said it. Yes, I said you didn't say it, but I said what you said. He said it, and others who heard it said we said it, until no one was sure, if anyone was sure, that he did not say, but that I said.
Thank you for being on this show. You can join my column at www.samomashaye.com and my Twitter at Sam Omashaye. And until next time, be good.